My name is Ayobami Okonlawon. I'm from the National Institute for Sport in Lagos. All right, so basically I'm here this morning to enlighten you. It's a campaign on anti-doping education learning. All right, so you might want to start thinking, but I'm not yet an elite athlete. I'm not yet a professional athlete. Why am I being educated on doping and anti-doping? All right, so we'll get back to that later on. But first, let me congratulate the team. The team participating at the Nigerian Youth League. It's a job well done so far. Second on the league, and I know you're aiming for the top. So I wish you all the best in the journey. And to Greg, who is the highest goal scorer at the moment, and other teammates, well done. All the best in the league. All right, so this morning, the campaign is on anti-doping education. And basically, that is the World Anti-Doping Agency. They are of the opinion that before you start introducing youth or young athletes to doping, let them have the knowledge first. So before you start testing their blood, testing their sample, why don't you test their knowledge first? So you need to be educated first before they introduce you to any doping control. And anti-doping education is campaigning about clean sport. And what does clean sport mean? Clean sport means you're playing the game fairly, you're respecting yourself and respecting the participants, and then you're playing the game with integrity. So that is what clean sport is all about. So doping does not only involve when an athlete tests positive for a particular drug or a particular substance. Doping actually goes beyond testing positive for a particular drug substance. Doping can also be when there is an attempt to use a prohibited substance. That is, the athlete or the footballer has not even used it yet, but he attempted using it. It's also an anti-doping rule violation. And then doping can also mean when an athlete tries to evade or refuse to go for testing. Why are you testing me? I don't want to go for testing. Refusal or evading testing is also an anti-doping rule violation. It's also a form of doping. So doping is also when the whereabouts of the athlete cannot be known. Usually for athletes, especially the elite athletes, you have to give your information, the whereabouts of your information, to your organizations all the time, because you can be picked up for testing at any point in time. So the moment you fail to give them an information, probably when an athlete travels, and then you fail to inform the required organizations that I'm going to so place and I'll be back at this particular point in time, the moment you fail to give that information and you travel, you can be declared missing, which is an anti-doping rule violation. So that is also what doping involves. Doping can also be when you try to tamper with your sample. You are trying to give a sample to a lab for testing, for example, but you try to tamper with it. Probably you've been asked to bring your urine sample, and then while trying to give them the sample, you try to probably mix it with water so that it becomes diluted. That is also a form of doping. Now, doping can also mean when you're in possession of a prohibited substance, a substance that has been banned. You have not used it, but it's in your possession. Ignorance will not be an excuse. That is also a form of doping. So don't even be in the possession of any prohibited or banned substance at all. Now, doping can also mean when you try to trafficate, that is, you're trying to handle it, or you're trying to sell it out, or you're trying to move it from one position to another, or try to give it to someone else. You're not the one using it, but you're trying to sell it to someone, or you're trying to give it to someone. As long as that thing was found in your possession at that point in time, it's also a form of doping. And then doping can also mean you're trying to administer it to someone else. You're not the one using it yourself. You're not using it on yourself, but you're trying to use it on someone else. It's also a form of doping. And then doping can also mean complicity. That is, you're trying to cover up for someone else. Probably a friend has used it, so the friend has been picked up for doping, but you're trying to lie and cover for the friend. You lying and the person that used it can also be picked up for doping. Is an anti-doping rule violation. Now, doping can also mean you're trying to associate with someone that has been banned. Someone has been picked up for a test, he or she tested positive, and then he or she has been suspended or banned. But you, as an active elite athlete, you're still associating, you're still friends with that person. It's also a form of doping. So prohibited association is also a form of doping. So don't associate with them at all, so that they don't contaminate you in court. And then doping can also mean you're trying to discourage someone from going for a test. or you threaten someone because probably an athlete has used a drug and a friend or a teammate knows, but you try to threaten that particular person. If you open your mouth and talk, I will do this and I will do this to you. That is also an anti-doping rule violation. So doping goes beyond just testing positive for a particular banned substance. Doping involves breaking the anti-doping rule violation. Now, it should be noted that if at any point in time an athlete is meant to use a particular drug, and probably that particular drug has a particular substance that has been banned, there is what we call a therapeutic use exemption form. That is, you pick up that form and let them know that the reason I'm using this particular drug is for medication. So the moment they pick up that particular athlete for a test and he or she tests positive, the therapeutic use exception form can stand in for him or her. I don't want to mention it, but there's a popular footballer at the moment who is serving a ban, who was careless. If he has probably used this therapeutic use exemption form, he will have probably been free in court. But he took a drug. The drug was actually given to him by a medical doctor. But that particular drug has a substance that has been banned by the World Anti-Doping Agency. So he carelessly took it without informing his coach, without informing his sports doctor, the team doctor. And then he tested positive and is now serving it. But although the ban has been reduced, but WADA is saying ignorance is not an excuse. As an athlete, you have to have this knowledge. So telling them I don't know about it is not an excuse. So that's why this particular education is very, very important. All right, so in the world generally, doping is being monitored and controlled by the World Anti-Doping Agency, that is WADA, established in 1999. And they have what we call the WADA code, which is like the Bible, the constitution of anti-doping. So every athlete is encouraged to go through that WADA code. Even if you don't understand the content, you can probably give it to a sport doctor or someone who has the knowledge about medicine to guide you through before you use any particular substance, even supplements. Usually we recommend that for athletes of this age category, food should be your real deal. Don't tamper, don't try to use drugs, just eat an healthy diet. And as much as possible, please, you might need to try and avoid supplements too. As much as supplements might be good health-wise, some supplements can actually contain some banned substances. The footballer I said earlier actually took a drug supplement, and the drug supplement contained a particular substance that has been banned by WADA. So before you take any form of supplement at all, please let a team doctor know, a sport doctor know, so that he or she can actually guide you through. Now in Nigeria at the moment, we have the Nigeria Anti-Doping Committee, which is like the organization monitoring doping in Nigeria. And just this June 2024, an anti-doping bill was passed by the National Assembly. So when that bill becomes fully effective in Nigeria, then athletes can be picked up at any time as well for doping tests or for doping control. And if you are proactive enough as a nation, we can also build a standard anti-doping laboratory or standard anti-doping center. There is only one in Africa at the moment which WADA recognized, but their accreditation has also been withdrawn because they failed to do one or two things. It was in South Africa. So if Nigeria is proactive enough to build a standard anti-doping laboratory, then we can go a long way to control doping in Nigeria. So why must we prohibit doping? Why must we talk against doping? One is the fact that it's unhealthy. It puts the athlete at risk. Risk of heart disease, risk of high blood pressure, risk of hypertension. And then number two, it goes against the spirit of sportsmanship. Doping means you're trying to take advantage of other participants. You want to cheat. So it goes against the spirit of sportsmanship and integrity of the game. And then it does not motivate others to continue. Imagine someone you have idolized in quote as a footballer now getting caught for doping. You looking up to that person might feel less motivated to continue. So that means everything has been doing all this while is by drug. Why am I even wasting my time? So doping goes against the spirit of sportsmanship. It goes against integrity. Then it does not motivate others to actually continue. And then when people dope, there are several effects. One is the fact that they can be suspended or eventually banned. And when that occurs, that is a job loss or a premature retirement. And then they can forfeit the prize money or forfeit the trophy or whatever medals they have won. And then as well, like I said earlier, your health is also at risk. Out of risk of heart disease, risk of kidney failure, risk of hypertension, high blood pressure, and the like. So that is why we have to talk against doping now and encourage anti-doping education. Now, there are different kinds of drugs that are usually that have been prohibited at the moment by WADA. And WADA updates this list every year, usually by the 1st of January of every year. They bring out the list. But they must have told the athletes 3 months earlier so that they will familiarize themselves with it. That is why ignorance is not an excuse. I don't know is not an excuse. So you might need to also go through this list to see the items, the list of items that have actually been banned. So I'll just briefly talk about some of them that we are familiar with. Now, the first one are stimulants. Stimulants are drugs generally taken by athletes to stay active, to stay alert. Examples could be cocaine. Now, cocaine is a prohibited item. It has been banned by WADA. It should not be taken by athletes during competition. If you have to take it out of competition, you have to ensure that you're not participating in any sport at all. But I recommend not even taking it at all. So cocaine is a prohibited substance. Caffeine at the moment is not prohibited. You can find caffeine in products like chocolates, coffee, or even Coca-Cola. And you know, athletes take all these things. But now caffeine becomes dangerous because now when caffeine goes beyond 12 milligrams per milliliter in your urine sample, then the moment an athlete tests positive at that particular point, it becomes a doping substance. So you have to consume caffeine at the normal consumption rate. So the moment it goes beyond 12 milligrams per milliliter in the urine sample, it becomes a doping substance. So WADA is not saying, well, don't take caffeine, but take it and consume it under the normal consumption. And then we have the narcotic analgesics. The narcotic analgesics are drugs taken to relieve pain or to hide pain. And usually footballers, especially when you have to play 3 or 4, 5 matches in a week, and you feel you're having a pain, so let me use a drug, or let me inject myself with narcotic analgesic to reduce the pain or to hide the pain, is actually prohibited. Examples could be the morphine or methadol. These are prohibited items in sports. So please, if you have any form of pain, let your team doctor know or let your coach know so that they will give you the recommended drug to use. And we have the anabolic agents. These are like hormones in the body. Now, when hormone is not being produced at the usual rate, at our age now, we should be producing hormone at the usual rate. But when it's not being produced at the usual rate, you feel you want to use something to boost it up. So when you use something to boost up the production of hormone in the system, is a form of cheating, which is prohibited by WADA. Then we have the diuretics. Now, the diuretics are drugs that when taken, they work with the kidney. So they produce much urine. So when an athlete probably has taken a particular drug and you want to quickly get rid of it, you want to quickly excrete it, so they might take a diuretic so that they'll produce so much urine, and then in the urine they can easily discharge the drug. That is not allowed in sport. Diuretics can also be used to mask a particular agent or a particular drug that has been taken. That is, an athlete has taken a drug and he or she knows I'm going for a test, but I don't want that result, that drug I've taken, to show in the result. So I will take a form of diuretic to hide it. It will now cover up the drug so that when they test, they will not see that particular sample in the test. It is not allowed in sport. It's a form of cheating. So these are some of the drugs that have been prohibited by WADA. We have so many, like I said. So you might need to go through the WADA list, WADA code, to see some of these drugs. And then we have some that has been placed under restriction. Restriction in the sense that we are watching the athletes taking them. It's not like they cannot take them, but we are watching how they are going to consume it. Examples are alcohol. So we are watching how athletes are going to take them, because when you don't consume it at the normal consumption, it can become a doping substance. And then there are some drugs taken by asthmatic patients as well. So if you have to do that, please, you might need to go through the therapeutic use exemption form, so that you let them know that the reason I'm taking this particular drug is for medication, is for medical reasons, not to dope or not to cheat or have an advantage over other people. Now, what are the roles expected of you and even of the coaches as well? How can you also propagate the message, pass on the message of anti-doping education? One is the fact that you have to respect the rule of sportsmanship in sport. Respect the rule of sportsmanship in sports. See even your opponents as your friends. And then the second fact is the fact that you have to set realistic targets for yourself. Set realistic target for yourself. The moment you set an unrealistic target for yourself, you might feel compelled to do one or two things to just meet up the target. But the moment you set realistic targets for yourself, then you might not feel compelled, or you might not feel under pressure to cheat in order to meet that particular target. So set realistic targets for yourself. And then know the kind of friends you actually move with. Don't move with friends that will probably influence you to start taking drugs or to start taking prohibited substances. So watch the friends you move with. And then ensure that when you're training, the proper training is being observed. Don't put yourself under pressure when you're training. Follow the coaching tips, follow the coaching points. Don't put yourself under pressure when training, so that you don't get injured and then you don't get forced to start using some prohibited substance to hide the pain. And then when you have problems, probably from home or from anywhere else, please let your coach know, or let any member of the management know. Have a support system. That's what we're trying to say here. Have a support system. Your support system can be your parents, your friends, your coach, your teammates. Have someone you can talk to when there's a particular problem. So don't hide the problem. The moment a problem is hidden, there is every tendency that you might go into depression, and then you might want to take drug to come out of the depression. So when there's a problem, please have a support system. Your friends, your parents, your coach, have someone you can talk to or talk with in order to get that problem solved. And then get help from specialists as well. Probably a sport nutritionist or a sport doctor who can guide your diet. As athletes, whether you're an elite or not, you need to guide what you eat. You need to guide what you drink. So you need to, if you need to get the help of a sports doctor or a sport nutritionist to help you guide a healthy diet for you, please go ahead and let them guide you on what you eat and what to drink. So the moment you follow this point or these tips, there is every tendency that you have the knowledge and you go against doping as well. So I'll round up by saying, for those of us who have access to a mobile phone and internet, there is an application that has been developed by the World Anti-Doping Agency, which is ADEL, Anti-Doping Education Learning. ADEL by WADA. You can probably find it on Google Play Store or the iOS Store. So when you download the ADEL by WADA, you go through some of the materials there that will guide you on how to live a healthy life and how to play a clean sport as an athlete. And there are some other resources there too. There are some courses you can take, and then you have the certificate downloaded. So if you have a mobile phone and have access to the internet and you're allowed to use them, you can actually download ADEL by WADA, go through some of their resources, go through some of their courses, and have a certification, which can also help you as well. So in conclusion, I'd like to tell us that sport is teaching us about life. And in life, you win some and you lose some. So when you win, celebrate. When you lose, don't let it depress you. Move on in life. That is what sport is teaching us. And then how far you go depends on how hardworking you are, not the amount of drug you decide to take. How far you go in sports and in life generally depends on how hardworking you are. So please take hard work and don't take drug. And then there are no shortcuts to winning. There are no shortcuts to success. If you decide to pass a shortcut and you get caught, all the effort you've been putting through all this while will be retrieved from you, and then such a person will be reduced to ground zero. So please don't take shortcut to success. Achieve success the right way, and then push yourself to be the best. But while you're pushing yourself to be the best, please have respect for your teammates have respect for even your opponent as well. And then if you are feeling under pressure, if you are being pressurized by someone or by any other thing, please, like I said, have a support system. Let people know what you're going through. Talk with them, share ideas, and then that problem can easily be solved. And then along the way, think about those people looking up to you. You will not want to let them down. So don't let them down by taking drug and then you get caught and then you get suspended or banned. So think about people looking up to you and play sports the right way. So set the right example for yourself, set the right example for people around you, and then we can help change the world together. So Forza Roma, thank you very much. All right, so I wouldn't know if there are any questions or contributions before we call it a day. All right.
I just wanted to get something clear.
Okay.
Something about
Yes.
normally with some energy drink we take.
Yes.
Yeah, those content there. So I just really wanted to know if those such drinks if or if it will have any.
All right. Now, like I said, caffeine at the moment has not been banned, has not been prohibited. But you need to watch how you actually take some of the products that have caffeine. So you have to probably consume them less and probably take more of water. But what I recommend personally to athletes, especially athletes of this age group, is that take good food and just take water. The moment you start introducing yourself to some of these products that have some of these prohibited substance, you might get addicted to them. So it becomes difficult to stop at the end of the day because some of these particular substances are actually addictive. So by the time you get addictive and you cannot stop easily again, it becomes a problem. So what I recommend personally is take healthy diet, take good food, and take water. If as much as possible you can do away with some of these products, energy drinks or Coca-Cola and the likes. Not that it's bad, it can be consumed, but consumed under the normal consumption. Don't overdo it. Don't become addicted to them. But recommendedly take good food and take water. All right, I hope I'm clear. Yes, sir.
And also there are some drugs you go to the pharmacy not to get, and they'll tell you cannot be given to you
Over the counter, yes.
and you have to give the doctor's report before you get. So getting the doctor's report and getting the drugs does it mean that you are in a safe side?
Okay. All right, now, what I would say concerning that is now, you as an athlete, especially as a footballer, please, before you get any drug, I don't know if you have a sport doctor, please let your sport doctor know, even if it was recommended by you, by a medical doctor in the hospital. Like the example I gave of footballer earlier on, it was given by his medical doctor. If they had consulted his sport doctor, they would have told him this particular drug has a content that has been banned by WADA. So even if a medical doctor recommends a drug for you, before you probably go to buy or get it, please let your sport doctor know, your team doctor know, so that they verify that this drug you're actually taking does not have any chemical content that has been prohibited by WADA. So it's not as if you cannot take drug for medication. But like I said as well, before you take drug for medication, in an ideal situation for professional athletes, there is a therapeutic use exception form that you have to sign that I'm taking this particular drug at this period because of medical reasons. So they are already aware. So in case anything goes wrong, that therapeutic use exception form will stand in for you. But if you take the drug without the therapeutic use exception form and anything goes wrong, then it's your responsibility. But the moment you let your sport doctor know, your coach know, and they check through and say that there's no content that has been by WADA in that particular drug, then it's safe to use. But even if it's safe to use, please still use the therapeutic use exception form, especially when you become a professional footballer. All right. So any other question or contribution? Yes, sir.
You told us that we shouldn't take supplements. So the question is, if after a intense training and get back to camp or your house, like what do you do?
All right. Now let me correct that notion. It's not like you cannot take supplements. Supplements can be taken, but take them under the normal consumption. Now, what I said is there are some supplement that contains content that has been banned by WADA. If you go through the ingredients, you might find one or two ingredients that they have used in making it that is on the prohibition list of WADA. So for such an athlete or for such a footballer who takes such, and then you complain that I didn't take a drug, I only took a supplement. As long as the supplement contains a banned or a prohibited substance, then it's also a form of doping. So supplements can actually be taken, but what I personally recommend is take good food. A supplement cannot be a substitute for food. Never. Supplement can never be a substitute for food. Food is actually the real deal. A healthy diet is the real deal. So as a footballer, please take a healthy diet as the real deal. As much as possible, please try to avoid supplement, because supplements can actually have some of this content that has been prohibited by WADA, except if you are so sure that the supplement does not have any content that is prohibited. So if you're sure of that, then you're probably safe. But if you are not sure, then give it to someone who can help you, probably a nutritionist or a sport doctor who can help you check and verify. But food is the real deal. So I recommend a healthy diet for you. But if you have to take a supplement, please ensure that the supplement does not have any substance or content that has been prohibited. All right. Okay.
So, talking about the drugs that have some substance that are banned, and someone might have taken it before, and now you are giving us a lecture, an education that we are to meet a sport doctor. Okay. I just want to know if someone that have taken this kind of drug before,
Okay.
if it is have like if it has a duration of
Okay. All right. Yes, some of these drugs actually have duration that they work with. For example, there are some hormones, or there are some anabolic steroids that are taken only for a short period of time. It will just give you that person an instant energy only for a short period of time, usually taken by sprint runners. So the moment that particular substance has been used up by the body, it can either be excreted, probably through sweat or through urine, and that's all. But there are some that could take a longer period of time, especially for weightlifters. They take some diuretics that might probably take a long period of time to work because they want to shed weight, they want to reduce weight. I hope you understand. But if you have taken it before, and probably as a result of this education, please, you might need to stop. You might need to stop before probably becoming a professional footballer, and then you get addictive to some of these things. So please, you might need to stop at the moment and just recommend stay with a healthy diet, a good food, water, and the allowed food supplements in sport. I hope I'm clear. All right, so thank you very much. Like I said, I wish you all the best in the league, and I wish you all the best in your career. Thank you.
so on behalf of the team, I want to say a big thank you.
Thank you too.
Because it's not every day you see someone to come to sacrifice this kind of time to educate us on this stuff. If not for this education now, some of us would not have gotten any enlightenment about this stuff we are talking about. We just keep going and taking stuff and nothing. So we want to say a big thank you for your time,
Thank
for
you.
your sacrifice.
Thank you. Thank you so much.